Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to do Alice Ever After number 2 by Boom Studios, made by Dan Panosian, Giorgio Spalletta, and Fabian Mascolo, if I'm saying that correctly. Very cool cover. You know where this is going. It's drugs. That's the whole theme of this book, and it's not going to be different in here as well. So let's dive in. There are two artists. Dan Panosian is doing the drug-inducing visuals like this here, and Giorgio Spalletta is doing the other work. So we see here Alice. She's back in Wonderland. She has a message, and she says that she's going to spend more time in here with her dearest friend, and not in the real world. So everybody's happy, and they have a dance with each other, and then it looks all very cool. And he says, so you are here, you are staying here, and but what about your parents and your friends? And she says, well, don't worry about that. It's going to be all right. And then we see something's happening, and the cat is losing his teeth, and he says, I miss all sort of things, like my teeth, for instance. Maybe I should see a dentist. Can you recommend one? And she says, father? Yes, because it's the face of her father. And then she hears the sound, Alice, Alice. And then she wakes up because she is now in some kind of a institute, if you know what I mean. And we have, the real life equivalent of Tweedledee and Tweedledum. And I don't know who they are or what they are, but they're doing some therapy. Very weird one. She says, please put me down. But he says, well, we're just getting wound up. You're wearing my clothes. Why are you wearing my clothes? She says to one of these two guys. A young lady from a wealthy family shouldn't be so stingy. Haven't you ever heard of sharing? We share everything here. We would be happy to teach you all about sharing. That sounds real creepy. Also, I like that they are doing this thing again. Sorry, the camera is just zooming in and out. And she says, put me down. That's enough. And then somebody knocks on the door. And also they threaten, that there are rules. And okay. And so this guy here, I have to interrupt your therapy, but the young lady has a visitor. Well, isn't this Prince Matthew? Sir Matthew will do. And so Tweedledee and Tweedledum, that's how I call them. You get used to how things work here. And if you don't, then you get used to plenty of work, not to mention a fair amount of suffering, etc. So I thought to myself, who is this then, this Prince Charming? Well, it seems he's an inmate. Wait a minute, an inmate is for prison, right? Well, a patient, let's call it that. And your guest awaits, dear. Thank you, Sir Matthew. Matthew to my friends. What is happening here? Why is this chair and this table so big? I mean, look at this perspective. She must be very, very small, or this perspective of the table is very off. That's weird. Anyway, so Edith, one of her sisters, is here, and they're having a chat, and hey, how you doing? And are you being treated well? And she's talking about how simple it is here, but fine, and that the staff is keeping a close eye on her, ensuring the safety, talk about food. I see. Have you met any new friends? Not so far. I've only just arrived. Everyone seems quite friendly. Are you sure about that? Well, maybe she talks about the patients. And she says, the medicine I'm receiving is served in a timely manner. It's nice to be on a schedule for a change. So she's very happy that she's getting, drugged up, because that's her goal, I guess. How much medicine are they giving to you, Alice? Oh, quite a bit. I'm starting to remember things. And she says, you are? I mean, what things? Good things, I hope. Good things? And she turns around, and then she sees Tweedledee and Tweedledum. And she says, father things mostly. Where is this going? And she says, what kind of father things, Alice? Most about father's dental practice. His dental practice? The teeth. All the teeth he collects. And then she says, I really must go, Edith. It was nice seeing you. And she says, oh, Alice. It's weird. And then she meets up with Prince Charming again. And they compliment each other. Say, oh, pleased to meet you. You're such a gentleman. Thank you for rescuing me from whatever that was. Think nothing of it. I've also found mine. Well, basically, he's saying that he is in some kind of similar situation. And he says, I'm not a prince. I am a baronet from a long line of earls, dukes, and at least one viscount. You seem to have an air about you. Look at her face. So all these patients are nuts, and they talk very, very kindly to each other. Very, how do you say? Well, not posh, but you know what I mean. It's just everybody's, speaking in a certain way, if you know what I mean. So they go into a room where every one of these, can I say lunatics or not, is, and Tweedledee and Tweedledum are just, watching. So this guy has a rat, this guy has a cane, and they all have hats and things on their head. Not sure if that's allowed in here, but so this is the grand hall, he says. You will right fit in. And so she's meeting with all these people, and then, like I said, they're all very friendly and talk politely. And he says, I am Wilbur Harrington. Oh my, look at the time. Are you late for something? Me? Not at all. I have all the time in the world. Yeah, right. Okay. So she points out to a woman there. She says, who is she? Well, she wasn't always like that, Matthew says. She's recently taken a turn for the worse. There was time when she was quite the chatterbox. Wait a minute, is it Matthew? Just give me a second. Yes, Matthew. Okay. And so this guy shoves her because she was standing against the door. And so Matthew says, they keep all the goodies downstairs in the cellar. And he knows that because one time he needs to guard it for somehow, and you get a freebie of the things that are in there. And they're talking about Morton, Morton from the first book that has been stabbed, and she doesn't want to talk about it. And then, so one of the Tweedles says, come with me, Alice. Mistress Hulda wishes to speak to you. That's not how he probably speaks, but maybe he does. But I like saying, doing a little bit of role playing like that. And they are just mean people. And quite a little nosy Nelly there, I see. We can a bit nosy too. We hear you were friends with Morton. You heard what happened to Morton? Somehow some very bad people got wind of his business activities outside the facility. Very bad people. They say it takes bad people to know bad people. That's what people say. What are you saying exactly? Directly or indirectly? Well, directly, of course. Of course. We are here directly at Mistress Hulda's office. Be a little good girl now, and you can keep your nose of yours in one bite-sized piece. I'm enjoying the narrative, and it's getting weirder because so she's here in the office, and so the Hulda, she says, I wish I could invite you, but I can't. But I thought you wanted to speak with me. I do, but look at your feet, dear. No slippers are allowed in the office, only shoes. Do you have any shoes? And she said, well, I didn't see the sign. Off with your slippers. Have a seat, Alice, in this very tiny seat here. Make yourself at home. How do you like your new home? Well, it's nice so far, says Alice. It's getting weirder. So she's doing the whole tapping thing the whole time. Nice so far, you say. Well, very nice. I mean, very nice. Ah, very nice, you say. Your father told me you might say something like that. Interesting. What is this narrative? Speaking of your father, we spoke yesterday. We discussed your treatment. Rest assured, we are doing our very best to cure you of your afflictions. But we will welcome observations as well. After all, we're doing all this for you, so you can feel better. So she having a suggestion, and she says, can I make a request of the retreatment? Of course you may not, dear. We wouldn't dare dream of it. We take care of that all for you. You need to relax and let us concentrate on all of these details. But you just said, well, she's contradicting herself the whole time. And so she says, I know what I said, Alice. I am the headmistress here. I don't need a patient telling me what to do. Now do I? And then she says something, no more thinking for today. It's obvious to me that we are not going to see eye to eye on this. Your father was right about you. Pity. This meeting started off so well. Let's hope next time you can be a little bit more disagreeable, less disagreeable. So in one glance, he says, well, we're not going to be friends because you talk back to me. So that's a big no-no. So you need to shut up. And then she says, Alice, I have another appointment. You need to go back to your room. And she's calling Theodore and Thomas. But then this doctor comes in and is Dr. Madsen Hasselman. Now, I like movies. And I also like old movies. Now, this guy looks like that German guy that also starring this creepy, weird movies, but I forgot his name. I have to look out, maybe in the next video, I'm going to tell you who I think it is. Anyway, so a pleasure to meet you, Doctor. The pleasure is all mine. I adore pretty things. Adore them, he says. Look, let's have a look at you, shall we? Lovely, just lovely. We schedule an appointment with you as soon as possible. Now run along, Alice. Isn't she just delightful? What a creep. So she says, how did the operation go with your latest patient, Dr. Madsen? Is your research progressing as planned? So he says yes and no, but mostly says, well, he needs more patients to conduct the experiments, because he says something like, if you don't first succeed, try and try again. Like that song. And Hilda is pleased with that, because she says, more patients means more research grants, and that's exactly what this facility needs. More money means better patient care and better salaries, which means a happier mistress, which means a happier everyone, and natural better equipment for your research. So he says, I want to conduct some experiments on Alice. But she says, well, we need to have, permission from her father. She's the daughter of Dr. Ludwig. The royal dentist? Ooh, maybe we should just surprise him. Anyway, so Matthew comes and he has the keys to the basement, and she's all happy because he's nuts too. And so they're going down, skipping a few pages. And by the way, well, I'm going to show it. This could be easily some kind of a cartoon. I mean, it has the visuals, but also the colors. And it reminds me of this old Scooby-Doo movies when all these, there's some kind of a music hits on the background when they are just going from room to room, It's just hilarious. So they are here, and they are, drinking all this crazy stuff, and they are getting drug-induced and trippy. But then Matthew says, you did close the grand door hall behind you, right? Well, no, because Tweedledee and Tweedledum are here, and they're saying that they don't like large rats. No, we despise them, he says, and if we see this pills and drugs. It's going to be continued. I like that. I don't know. There's something about this comic. The quality is nice too, by the way. Great paper stocks, very smooth. But I don't know. I just can't help laughing because of all this ridiculousness here, but not in a bad way. They deliberately do this, everybody's happy and everybody's a little bit trippy and crazy and talk differently, because, well, it's all about drugs and money and status. But, it seems that there are mean people instead of evil people. And I don't know. There's something about this book that I like. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you liked the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.